Doing today? Welcome to what is it today? We're doing our photo editing live stream where you can submit your images before the stream starts, and I try to edit them here for you live. Today, again, I'll be using DxO Photolab 8. It's my favorite photo editor. I think it gets the best results, and I have links down below for free trials. They're my affiliate links, so if you end up actually buying anything, I'll get a commission. Uh, but I can highly recommend it without hesitation. I think it's the best photo editor out there, and I'll maybe do another open Q&A for DxO Photolab 8 next week, in addition to my normal photo editing streams. But in any case, got a lot of good photos in today, and I'm excited to start editing them. I didn't get a whole lot, so if you want to submit one during the stream, it's okay. And also, what I'd like to do is, if you have submitted an image and edit it yourself, upload those towards the end so that we can compare notes, right? See what you did versus what I did. It's always kind of fun to see how similar or how different our edits are on the same image, right? And of course, I've also provided an image of my own for you guys to edit, and it's always a lot of fun to see what you guys do with my images. And a little secret, and maybe some of you noticed, but the image I uploaded for you guys to edit my image is actually from the new Olympus OM3. But what I did is change the EXIF data so that you can open it up in most photo editors like Lightroom, DxO, whatever. It's not a lot of photo editors are supporting OM3 yet. So a little trick sometimes, especially when you're using the same processor and sensors, you can change the EXIF data to the sister camera or brother camera, and it'll still edit those images just fine. So maybe there's some minor tweaks or optimizations that might be missed, but I couldn't tell any. Anyhow, let me just do a quick thing in the chat. Good morning, Roger. Good morning, William. Good to see you. And Dan, good to see you. And wow, I have a super chat from Fabio. Thank you so much. With a question, I'll see if I can address this real quick. Hi, Rob from Rome. I bought an Olympus 70 to 300 4/3 and adapted it to MFT. I'm now obsessed with bird photo. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted because my screen is reversed. Let me see if that any difference. This is my left hand. Well, this is my right hand. So it should be on the other side of the screen. This is bugging me. Hold on. What if I move this forward? Ah, that's better. All right. So give me a second here. I'm so sorry. Okay. Now it's dark. It's darker. There we go. A little bit brighter. Okay. I'm not really a video guy, so I struggle with this every time. But anyhow, so now I'm obsessed with bird photography. I'd like to make a leap to quality lens. What do you recommend, the 100 to 400 or the 150 to 600? And there's a version 1 and version 2. All right, so there's also the 300 f4 prime, which is kind of within reach in price with the 150 to 600. So let me just briefly tell you that between it there's two types of bird photography, right? There's bird on a stick and bird on flight. So if a bird is perched up on a branch and you just want to get a shot of that bird, and then there's birds in flight, and you can subset that into fast moving birds, slower moving birds, larger birds, things like that. And this is where there's going to be subtle differences between these lenses. So The 100 to 400 version 1, excellent lens optically, certainly going to do better than the 70 to 300 in my opinion, although I've never tried the 70 to 300 4/3 adapted. So I'm making an assumption here, but uh, version 1 and version 2 optically are identical, and you're going to get excellent quality out of those. It's a relatively small lens. It's not as small as, say, the Panasonic 100 to 400, but uh, if you're looking at the version 1, consider the Panasonic 100 to 400 and also uh, and the Olympus 100 to 400 version 1. I would just get the cheaper of the two because they basically are going to use the lens image stabilization, and that's ideal for the longer focal lengths like 400 millimeters, or it's going to use the in-body stabilization, uh, which is better for the shorter focal lengths like 100 to 200. So I would just go to the cheaper of the two. So I'm just giving you some alternatives, but I can recommend the 100 to 400 version 1. Why do you want to go to the version 2 if optically they're the same? Well, there's some ergonomic differences, right? The version 2 has a removable collar, which some find useful in terms of workflow. It doesn't matter to me, but uh, you can remove the collar without taking the lens off. Okay, so for whatever reason, if you need to do that, that might be a consideration. Uh, but version 2 specifically has improved the image stabilization so that now it synchronizes with the in-body stabilization. So you're going to get very, very steady shots for birds on a stick. So when you're taking a picture of a bird on a stick, it's a lot easier to frame the shot and you're going to get much better stabilization and you can use slower shutter speeds, all of that stuff. And you're going to get the better shot of the bird on a stick with the version 2. When it comes to birds in flight, it's not going to make any difference because you're shooting at 1/2000th, 1/4000th of a second. Image stabilization is almost irrelevant at that point. So the only reason you really want sync image stabilization in the version 2 is for bird on a stick, which would be, a little easier. It's not substantially different, but it makes a little difference. And also for video, that's where you'll see a little more substantial difference. If you're shooting video, then I would recommend the version 2, uh, hands down. If you're not shooting video, uh, it's a little better for bird on a stick. Now, the 150 to 600, okay, that's optically going to be very similar to the 100 to 400, but it's going to give you more reach. Also, unbelievable reach if you put a teleconverter on there. My argument against the 150 to 600 is not so much the size and weight. It is what it is, right? If you can handle that, go for the 150 to 600 for the extra reach. So if you want more reach, the 150 to 600 is a terrific option. And you can add on a 1.4 teleconverter. I wouldn't recommend the 2x. And you get amazing reach. And that can be very useful if you're, doing wildlife type photography. I think for birding, the compromise is when birds are that far away that you need to shoot at that kind of focal reach or that focal length. I'd argue that atmosphere and other conditions are going to mitigate the image or degrade the image enough that they're not going to really get quite as many keepers. Uh, but if the birds are relatively close and you can fill the frame like bird on a stick type shots, and you can fill the frame with a 150 to 600, you will get a much better image. So there's a lot of people they try to capture birds in flight at the 600 millimeters plus the 1.4x, and the birds are so far away. Then they crop in. It's like, don't do that, And the light is not great. It's I would say at those focal lengths, you really have to be pretty tuned in to birding and wildlife to make that really effective. I'm not even there quite myself, and I do my best, but I'm not quite there where if I were shooting with a 600 millimeter and a teleconverter, that I would get a good shot at birds that are kind of far away. So, uh, but all that aside, of all the lenses that I've talked about, the 150 to 600, I think if size and weight is not an issue, that's the best way to go. Now, one lens that I prefer over all of those is the 300 millimeter f4, because it is the sharpest lens, has the best image stabilization, and I can throw a teleconverter on there. I can get, with a 1.4x, I get a 420 millimeter equivalent. So I would say if it's in your budget, that's what I would recommend. And don't worry about zooming in and out. You never have enough reach when you're doing birding. It's very rare that you're going to shoot birds at less than 300 millimeters or 400 millimeters. You always want as much reach as you can because they're always far away. There's exceptions to that. I don't know where you live and what your birding wildlife is like out there, but where I live, yeah, I'm not going to shoot a bird at 100 or 200 millimeters. They're just too far away. They're too small. Uh, if you're lucky enough to be able to have a field craft or you can get close to the birds, then a zoom lens makes more sense. And it doesn't take long to get good at putting the bird in the frame at 300 millimeters. You know, I just use the hot shoe on top of the camera as kind of a virtual line of sight. I can just kind of follow the bird, have the wide field of view, then put my eye to the EVF, and the bird is almost always in the frame. It takes a little practice, but you get good at that, and you'll be rewarded with the finest images that I think the OM system cameras can create when it comes to birding and wildlife with that lens combination. Because the 300 f4 and the 150 to 600 are kind of in the same price range. You know, I get it, there's sales and stuff that happen that can separate them even more, but, uh, I don't think you'll find anyone that regrets buying the 300 f4 at all. There are lots of people that, I don't wanna say lots, but there are people that found the 150 to 600 too heavy. Um, so of all the lenses, I'd say that a compromised size, weight, image quality is the version 2 of the 100 to 400. If you want to save some money, you're on a budget, get the version 1. And if size weight's not a problem, 150 to 600. But if you want the ultimate, in my opinion, the 300 f4 is the way to go. Okay, but thank you so much for the super chat. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, so Paul Crisp is here, and yeah, William is also going for the 300 f4. And John Follows, good to see you. And I know a lot of you are here for the editing, so we'll get right into it. I just want to get right through the chat real quick. Good morning, Drew. And yeah, the room is mirrored. Yep, I fixed that. Thank you. And Gert is here. Good to see you. Andrew, good to see you. And some more feedback on the 100 to 400. And Roger says, with the 100 to 400 Mark 1, at what focal length should lens IOS on or off? Again, it just depends on the shutter speed you're at. If you're at 1 4000, it doesn't matter. I would just turn it off. But generally, in terms of focal length, lens IS is better at 400 millimeters. That's just best practice. But try both and see. You know, take a picture of a tree at some distance at 400 millimeters and hand hold with it on and off. Because I don't have this lens, so I can't really say what my experience has been. But best practice is lens IS for the long focal lengths, like 300 to 400 millimeters. Body IS, in-body IS for shorter than that. I think you'll get better performance. Excellent advice about overreaching. Forms are all full of my lens is not sharp when the bird is out on the right. Yeah, exactly, right? Because you're getting atmospheric distortion on top of you're not getting enough pixels on the bird. And Yeah, it's just too hard, and the light's not good, right? Whoops. 'Cause sometimes the sun might be right on you, but if the bird is, 600 yards away or 600 meters, there might be a cloud or something putting shade on that bird, right? By the time it gets out that far, unless it's clear skies, right? There's just so many variables. I mean, it's fun to try. I don't want to discourage you from trying and seeing what you can do and push your own personal limits to what you find acceptable image quality. It's fun to try. So go out and shoot the bird as far away as you want. It's not about image quality all the time. Sometimes it's just about enjoying your time capturing images and getting the shot. And yeah, it's not going to win awards maybe, but you had fun taking it, and that's the reward or reward, right? Of or reward in doing it, or a joy in doing it, I should say. Avery says a good thing to use fast shutter speeds, but also the frames per second will give you advantages. It's capturing the subject as it moves, less blur and great action. Yep, all kind. We can deep dive into birding, but uh, M. Claire is here. Good to see you. And Fabio says thanks for the comprehend. I try, and you did a super chat too, but I try to do my best with or without the super chats. The super chats and the donations are all greatly appreciated. And if you can do it, do it. If not, it's okay. You're never going to get. I'm a no compromise kind of guy, like the OM3. No compromise. I do my best because everyone's in a different situation, right? Some people have disposable income, and they can throw me $5 or $10 here and there. And some people, you know, they enjoy the craft, but they're on a budget, right? They just cannot, they don't have disposable income outside of what they've already spent on their camera, and they wanna enjoy that, and I want them to enjoy it, so I always do my best, uh, regardless, because God knows, I'm strapped, and I can't just be dropping, 5, $10, $20 every time I like someone's feedback. I'd love to do that. I did that earlier on, but, in the wintertime, things get a little tight because of the heating bills and stuff. Anyhow, nobody cares about that, right? So let's get right to the images. This button. All right, so we're going to start off here. This one is from Serge. Serge is a great woodland photographer, and he's come a long, long way since he was first, since I first knew about him when he started watching my channels and stuff and asking for feedback. So I'm really excited to always edit his. And we're shooting here at EM1 Mark II, 12 to 45 Pro. Great lens. I should have got that lens with the OM3 when I pre-ordered it. Uh, so horizon's crooked. We have some nice warm light kind of peeking in from the sides. I'm going to accentuate this warm light, straighten the horizon, and then overall composition, I think I love this reds down here with the warm light. We have a really nice color palette here of warm reds and yellows with the green. All we have to do, I think, is minimize the brighter areas in the background. So let me apply basic preset, which will basically do optical corrections and straighten the horizon first. And you wanna get your composition and crops in before you start doing local adjustments. Because if you do all these local adjustments and then you go and straighten the horizon, the frame of the image does not move with your adjustments. So, for example, if I like adjust the eyes on somebody and then I tilt the image, the local adjustments are going to move down opposite direction that I tilted. So just be aware of that. I do it sometimes when it's not going to make much difference because I'm doing big global adjust or big local adjustments, but if you have very fine precision local adjustments, you're outlining things, yeah, you have to be careful. I'm going to straighten the horizon. Wow, that's off by almost 3 degrees, Serge. Come on, man. Okay, and I don't think it was intentional. All right, that feels about right. So I have the center tree pretty much straight, and the horizon looks pretty good. And I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to try. Let me see where we're at with this center tree. Yeah, that's pretty much dead on. The problem is this tree is a little bit closer, so I want to balance the image a little bit. So I'm going to just off-center it a tiny bit, meaning I like the right and left side to be kind of balanced. Okay, that looks okay. And next, I'm gonna darken the image just to see where the light is. This is not going to be for the final edit. So there's a lot of light back here that I need to get rid of, and it's so bright it's probably clipped, and I'm not going to be able to just bring the highlights down locally. So if I do that, I really doubt it. Yeah, see, even if I pull it down 4 stops, it's not making any difference. So what I like to do in situations like this is just brush it out um, with something down here. So if I do this and select something down in here, it's a little darker. Something kind of indiscriminate. Maybe, maybe that would be all right. Okay. Now I can darken those quite a bit, I think. We have a little bit in the trees. Pull from over here, here. I mean, if this was architecture, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do this. But when you're talking about woodland, um, you know, leaves and stuff like this is all pretty random. I'm probably getting a little bit too carried away here, but let's see where we're at. That one looks terrible. Let's leave that one alone. Okay. All right. Now let me try and darken those areas. Okay, actually, maybe I can use a control line. Just select a little bit brighter. Yeah, there we go. And let's tighten up the Luma mask and see if I can bring this down. Looking a little bit ugly. And let's desaturate it. My Luma mask might be a little bit there. Okay, I like that. All right, right there. Let me just fix this one. This one. Then I'm going to bring the full exposure down. This. Let's do another control line here and just bring this down. Okay. And I'm going to warm up the image a bit. That. And darken it again. Ah, that looks really dark. I think what I need to do, this looks really dark on the live stream. It's not that dark on my screen here. I think I have my screen too bright. I need to I need to make an adjustment, one more adjustment here. Give me a second. I'm sorry, because I want you guys to see what I'm seeing. And the way I have my screen set up, I turn this off. Let's see. Okay. Okay, now what I see on the stream matches what I see on my screen. Okay. All right. So that, yeah, that's way too dark. So let's put it about there. All right, now I'm going to start doing some local adjustments. And start painting in and filling the light in. Very specific places. There's different places that I see it. That. A little bit too bright. Maybe a spot there. Spot here. And spot up in the leaves because the light's definitely falling here in the leaves. Spot, I don't like that one. And I'm going to give it a little warmth because this should be warmer light coming in. Like so. Gosh, this one is still not right. I might have to do a separate. Let me get rid of that dot. That needs its own control point. Get this one. Be I think these trees need their own control point. Okay, let's do this, but we're going to tighten up the chroma. Tiny bit on the luma. And push that just a bit more. In here. These need to be a little bit smaller. Okay. About down here, just a touch. And just a little bit of cleanup down in here. Then I'm almost done. I'm going to do one more control line for the brighter spots here. I'm going to move my eyedropper onto the brightest spot. Let's tighten up the Luma mask. And let's warm that up a bit. Not making a lot of difference. Let me back off the chroma. The opposite direction. It just needs a little more light. To fix this one. Okay. A little more warmth. And let's push the yellows. Spread that out a little bit. Okay, I think I'm good. I think I'm okay here. Maybe pull the contrast back a little, give it a little dreamy look. Contrast is a little bit too low on this part. So let me put the contrast back in the floor. I just want the background to be a little bit dreamier, but the foreground, I want it to be crispy. Okay, I think I'll call it there. I would spend some more time like with the trees maybe. This is a little bit too big. Okay. And let's just give the midtones a little bit more push. There's just little things here and there bothering me. Needs a little bit more light on it. Okay. All right. All right, I'm going to stop here. Otherwise, I'll be at it all day. So let's use as a reference. All right, so there's the before and after. So we have, I think there's a really nice composition in here. All we had to do was bring out the colors of the reds and greens and separate the lighting a little more. This was a really a problem spot here uh, for the composition because it's very bright. And I could have gone the opposite direction and made this blow this out, uh, and then make the overall image brighter, but I decided to go darker. So this image, I think, could go either way. You could sort of give a high key woodland type look where you have a strong light source here and then spreading out over here, and then the image would be much more high key. But I decided to go low key, so I had to block this out. Um, so there's the before, and there's the after. Okay, Serge, thanks for sending that in. And there's a quick question here. Oh, Darko's here, Marsha's here, Wayne dropped in. Good to see everybody. David Green says, what do you think about uh, OM's free photo? It's great. It's great. I've done, I used to do a lot of photo editing with just that, the live streams. I might do another one later using just the Olympus workspace. It's really good. The only limitation to OM workspace is uh, you can't do local adjustments. Everything is global, right? Other than some minor brushing, like corrections, it's pretty much uh, that's the biggest limitation. Other than that, it's fine, and it's a little slow. Uh, but not the workflow so much is slow, but just the response times, right? When you're making big changes to the image, it's a little bit slow if you have an older computer. Okay. Um, give me let me just take 5 seconds. I need to put some eye drops in. My eyes are burning right now for some reason. I have bad allergies, but give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm back. They're gonna be red for a couple of minutes, and then I'll look good as new here. All right, let's go to the next one here. We have, and just another note is if you hit the F9 key on Windows computers, I don't know about Mac, it opens and closes these panels, very quickly. Now let me punch in here. So we have a little bit of dust on the lens causing these kind of spots, I think. At least that's what I've noticed is when I see spots like this, it's just there's dust on the front of you need to clean your lens. And then let's brighten this and see what else is in the image. Okay, maybe that's not dust. That's just, no, I think could be snow. I don't know. That's not just dust. That's other stuff, but okay. I think we need to make this light very orange. I don't know if there's enough color here to convert it. And then have this light spill onto the sides and into the tree. And maybe amplify these speculars, these random speculars or orbs. Maybe it's a ghost fest. There's a ghost party. These are all orbs. I don't know. What do we shoot with here? OM1 and the Fisheye Pro. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is dust on the front of the element, though. Okay. This one here is from William. So, William, let me know if you got the. Oh, it's raindrops. Okay, thank you. William says these are raindrops. That makes sense. There's something on the front element that's causing that. And that could be for creative reasons, or uh, in my case, if if I delivered a picture like that to a client, they'd be very upset, because of it's for commercial stuff, not creative stuff. All right, I like this overall. So let's apply basic preset, and let me just show you, when you use optical corrections in DxO with the fisheye lens, it's going to try and convert it to a rectilinear image. So if you want to keep the fisheye effect, you can just turn the distortion control off. Let me see what looks better. I kind of like it without the fisheye correction. I like the sort of the bulbous look here. So I'm going to leave this off. And then let me see if I can do something with these flames. I'm just going to use a brush. And let me tighten up the Luma mask a little bit. Oh, I don't have Luma masking with this. Okay. Why? Oh, because I'm not using a control line. Let's try this. Let's bring the highlights in a little bit, and then bring the temperature up with some yellows and reds. Okay. Good. And I'm going to need to, it doesn't quite match what's happening in the trees. Let me try a control line. Go in this direction. I'm going to move the eyedropper onto something bright, and then tighten up the luminosity. Okay, let's do the same white balance trick here. Oh, wait. I'm going to need to back off the brush. Actually, what if I turn the brush off? Yeah, let's not use that brush. Do everything with the control line. And can I shift this to reds? I'm trying too hard. Let's see. Whoops. Okay, that's what I want. All right, now let's do a global. I normally like to do local adjustments, but this image is so dark. I want to bring in some of the details here. And I don't know if I can use these raindrops creatively or not, but let me try. Use a very tight luma mask. I can isolate these somewhat. And let's try contrast. And push the highlights. Okay, not enough highlight. Let's try midtones. Not much there. Okay, shadows. And we'll stretch these out. I turned off the highlight midtones because it was affecting the flaming bush here. Okay, I think that's really it. Maybe just a little bit of a crop. Just center. Uh, okay, I think that's all I need to do. So there's the original on the left. You know, being a fisheye lens is super wide angle. So we're getting a lot more in here than we need, unless there's some stars or something, but I doubt it. If it's raining, then it's cloudy out. So there's no stars up here. But yeah, I think that works. Just a simple edit. Give it a little bit of a warm glow to the flames. And but I was just reading, Williams says they were throwing drops of moisture when going through the patch. Interesting. Why would they do that? I hate rain. Okay. Uh, so hopefully that leaving the raindrops in here helps you remember the moment, uh, you know, in the environment of the scene. 'Cause if I could edit this and take and hide all of those, right? Just like I amplified them, I could hide them. But then that would take away from the experience that you had when you were there. So that's why I decided to leave them in there. Okay, this one is from William. Oh, we got two from William. Okay. See what we got in here. More raindrops. So let's apply basic preset. This one won't take too long. Let's see. Let me compare rectilinear to fisheye. I kind of like the fisheye look. And these colors are crazy. I temper those a bit. And let me fix the crop. Let's do a wider crop. By 9 maybe. Enter that. We got a line here. Oof. You could have stepped over just about 2 feet to the left. We could have had a little bit better geometry on the parking lot lines. What I was looking for is to get this line in and this line in, but you're just a little bit off center. I can't center the building with the parking lines, but that's okay. All right. And all right. So let's bring the highlights back in just a little bit. Is anything in the shadows here? No. Yeah, we need to +4 that. Light tilt. Yeah, I can kind of get lines right. It's pretty close. Oh, it come in a bit. And from here, don't think there's any hope of recovering anything in here, but let me see. Let me try with contrast. Ever so slightly. And these two windows are a little distracting, but let's let's add a little bit of warmth in there. Okay, I'm gonna call it there. How we're doing. Yeah, I think in this image the raindrops are more of a distraction, but they're not going to be easily separated from the picture because there's just too many common luminance values here and chroma values. So maybe just a couple of dabs of light on the sidewalk, or I'm sorry, on the parking lot. There, there. Wow, how come that's not doing anything? Okay, that's where I'm going to leave it. So compared to, so here's the original without the crop, and here's the edit. Whoops, me. Yeah, I think that works. Not crazy about the raindrops in this image, but I don't have a way to get rid of those. I think that looks good, and I think a 16:9 works for this. It's just a matter of just getting these lines. These are things that when I'm out doing architectural type things, I try to be very conscious of centering things. Like you can see this line is not quite center with the center of the doors or this sign. And that's what's causing these corners to be a little off. Again, this is very subjective in terms of what is your creative, vision of this image. But for me, when I do architecture, symmetry and balance are what make the image for me work. And that's what I always try to go for in my editing. All right, very good. Let's go to the next one. Okay, bird shot here from Gert. And okay, so we just need to brighten the image. Good job on the exposure. Yep, all good settings. let's just get a basic preset in. And I like a square image for birding. We can crop in because we got like 40 or 50 megapixels to work with. I think right there works. And all we need to do is let's work on the bird. And birds, this is a red-bellied woodpecker, if I recall correctly. It's always eyes, beak, talons. That's where I always try to go when I'm editing birds. But that's where I start. And then I start to work with the feathers and um, colors and things like that. Let's brighten up the eyes. Some clarity. I'm sorry, not clarity, but clear view. Micro contrast. Okay. Yeah, that's, I have to do a separate one for the talons. Just a little bit of clear view maybe. And micro contrast. Okay. Then let's separate bird a little more. Light. Don't know if I can do this in a subtle way. Okay. And let's just pull the highlights back a little bit. And some more micro contrast. Okay. And the reds, let's tighten up the chroma and accentuate these reds. So let's just use the color wheel. Probably a little bit of orange in that. There we go. Oh, too much down there. Do a separate one. Go right to the red channel and just push it a little bit. Here and here. Okay, how are we doing? Good. The eye, I'd like to get a little bit more. Maybe if yeah, there we go. That over slightly and stretch it. And all right. Now, it's very soft light, but I always like to add a little bit of like directional lighting. It seems to be, I can't tell where it's coming from, but I'm just going to add a little bit of light on the left side, a little warmth. And let's tighten up the chroma mask. Maybe get it away from the let's do another control line down here. Try the Luma mask. And we're going to cool it off a tiny bit. What about there? Okay. And let's brighten the image up. Globally. Need. Sorry, I got all serious for a second. 1 second. I'm just seeing some minor changes I need to make. All right, so where are we? Let's see. A little bit hot. Pull this back. And let's do a white balance check there. Bottom control line. Where is this? Oh, this one. This one's a bit too warm. This one is too cool. All right. Let's export this. We can see the best quality. So we got all this set. All right. Okay, we need to wait for it. Oh, I didn't download the optical module, so let me get that. I was wondering, the image looked a tiny bit soft to me, but now I know why. I didn't do this. So let's see, this is the EF400 2.8L. I don't know if it's version 1 or version 2, but let's try R5 Mark II. So I'm going to guess you got the good one, the version 3. Yeah, better. Okay. All right, now it looks sharp. Okay, so let's export this one. All right, I'm going to reset it, and let's do a side by side with this. So here's the original image on the right. Here's the edit. I think I could have probably gone a little bit warmer, a little bit cool, but it is a cloudy day, so the lighting would look kind of cool, right? But overall, let's see how we did on the details. So if we punch in, yeah, this looks good. Much, much better detail all the way around. So I think the only change I would make is I kind of like this slightly warmer look over here. And that's an easy enough change to make. All I would do is go to the color here and just push it up a little bit there. So yeah, that looks better. Just a hair warmer, a couple hundred Kelvin. I think that looks good. Okay, awesome. Let's go to thank you, John, for sending that. Hope you like the edit. Okay, one here from is this I'm sorry, that was from Gert. My apologies. Thank you, Gert, for sending that one in. And let's go to one from John. Okay, nice foggy scene here. And we're using what? A 50D with a 24 to 105. We're going to straighten the horizon, and then let me decide on a crop from there. So basic optical corrections. Make that straight. I'm going to get rid of this. Keep this. I like these flowers. So I wish you were a little closer and made these larger in the frame. I like this fence line. And let's keep this as foggy as possible. But maybe bring in a little warm light just right in here. Okay, so that's my thought process right now. So we're going to get rid of that. And I want to keep the flowers. Do I need that much? And come into about here. Okay, Gert, thanks for dropping in. I'm glad you liked the edit. Just a slight more tilt. Okay, so that's that. And if we can add a little bit of warm light in here. Maybe let's try a control line maybe. Just want it to spill. Let's use that's the basis. Tighten up the luma just a little bit. Back off the chroma. About there. That a bit warmer. And let's push the highlights. Okay, very good. I like it to be warmer, but it's a little bit too warm down here. So I'm going to move that up and back this off a little bit. Okay. What are we doing here? That looks good. Okay. Then let's use a different control line. Kind of do the opposite over here, but more gradual. Let me really feather that in. And I'm going to pull the micro contrast off. a little bit cooler. And there we go. And then a couple of control points for highlights in the water. The water I normally try to make black, but because we're in a fog, that would make it look a little bit too crispy, I think. If we can push the highlights. No. Got a little bit of the detail in there. Okay, I'm going to pull the blacks in a little bit. There we go. I'm going to do the same in here. And there's a little bit of a pier over here. Let me see if I can bring this out a little bit. I'll just use a brush. Just a very fine brush right there. Do some clear view. Micro contrast. All right, almost there. Stretch this one out. And more contrast. I kind of like the way the fog is very defined right in here. There's some birds down here. Okay, good. Okay, the foreground just needs a little bit of more texture or contrast. So I'll do that again with control points. Maybe a little smaller. Just push it a little bit. Then pull the blacks in. Smaller. That last one, don't need that. A little bit more light. Do one more control point for this grassy area. I like this. Tiny bit more warmth. Okay. What if I spot there? No, not bad. Okay. And a couple of spots here. Just some clear view. That's too much. Too much. I'm losing the fog. All right, that works. All right, I think I'll call it there. Okay, so here's the original on the left. And yeah, so I think that works. I mean, again, going warm is a subjective choice. This image could look actually pretty good, even nice and cool. Even in a black and white, this image would look pretty good. But yeah, I wanted to bring in the details of the fog here and the bridge. So I had to just spray it with light so you could see it, like spray it with a little warmth. And then the grass was just very flat. So, as you saw, I spot touched in here with some control points to bring that in. And this was really the only distraction, was whatever this box is right here. It was really the only distraction, and it was no problem to crop that out. I think that works. So there's before, and there's the after. David says he might, I think you're talking about this, right? That doesn't bother me too much. But what I would do in something like Photoshop, I would mask out these flowers and expand them so that they fill up more of this grassy area. And there may a way have been to do that just in the field, right? Just get in closer, maybe a little wider angle lens, get in closer and tiny bit lower, and you could have done the same thing optically, right? That's a great image. Thank you, John. And let's see, these are my photos. Okay, bird photo. Let's get the optical module in. So a GH6. Oh, cool. Oh, John, you usually send in your Nikon images. It's unusual to see a GH6. What is this one? This one is from Paul. This is an OM1. Let me just get the optical module in. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me apply basic preset, and I'm going to tilt this so the bird looks a little more upright. Something like that. Let me see where the crop lines are. I can go like that. Okay, now we just need to separate the bird a little from the background. So try control line. Okay. Just bring a little bit back in. Okay. Then on the bird, do eyes there, that up. Okay. And the beak looks good. Maybe a little bit on the talons here. A little bit motion blur on them, but that's okay. And then the bird's body. Work with these blue feathers. Oh, these are really dark. Tighten up the chroma on that just a tiny bit. And let's push Push the yellows. Okay. And the body itself, a little bit tighter chroma. Push here, here. Then on the tail, try an auto masking. See what we get. Not bad. Just a little more contrast. Okay, this one is a little bit off. That needs some. Am I getting a red? Oh, there's red in this eye. Interesting. Okay. Not sure. Let me bring that whole point back. I think what I'll do, I'm going to pull the reds back a little bit. Or maybe just need to shift them. I don't know. I'm going to leave it. Okay, that's good. And then let's go back and do a global brightening here. Okay, let me see where we're at. Yeah. I'm going to export that. And when that's done, we'll do a side by side. Okay, so reset, side by side. All right, so here's the original on the right, and here's the edit. So it's basically a straighten and crop. And then darkening the background so the bird ideally stands out a little bit more. And if we kind of pixel peep some of the details, I think, yeah, the details look really good now. Oh, my head's in the way. Yeah, we did a good job. Not we, I mean, DxO did a good job bringing out the details here. Just this eye, I clipped it a little bit with the beak, but that's okay. Yeah, okay, that looks good. This image was really just about, optical corrections, sharpness, and cropping. There wasn't really much to do outside of that, but that's a great image. Okay, thanks, John. And this is, oh, wait a minute, I'm RW2. Okay, so that was John's image. Okay, Paul Crisp. Okay, interesting bird. Um, let's just go with the square. A little bit of a crop here. Just to center it. And I'm gonna try smart lighting. See. We don't need that really, but let's make the image brighter. And then we'll selectively pull back some of these highlights. And let's get the eye. If we can bring out the color of the eye. Okay, get glossy. Contrast. A little bit of saturation, vibrance. And let's pull it back. Okay, good. And the beak looks good. The talons look pretty good. But let me do a little bit on the beak. Just give it a little bit of push in the highlights there. That didn't do much. Let's try midtones. There we go. And the lighting is already really good. I don't need to do much there. Maybe just a little bit of a pull. Oops. My bad. Sorry. Just a little bit of a pull down here. Start with the highlights, midtones. Just a tiny push on this side to be a little bit warmer. Just a couple hundred Kelvin maybe. Okay, let's export that one. And see what we get. Reset. Side by side. Width. Yeah, I think that looks good. So this image was just a little bit dark, right? But other than that, that looks really good. And that lens is sharp. See, Paul has made it a point. This one demonstrates how sharp the Lumix 100-300 can be. It's almost up there with the Panasonic 200. Really? That's saying a lot, but that is a very, very sharp lens or very sharp image. Okay. But yeah, I think bringing the eye out really made the difference in the image, and then just brightening it overall. But that looks good. Okay, and let's see. One here from Bert. Whoops. Okay, let me apply basic preset and think about the composition for a second. So we have this bench here. Kind of frames what's going on here. I think on the right side, we don't need much. So come in. I think that works. Of course, it's nice and level, which is always nice to get. See what the smart lighting does. A little bit here. The light is kind of coming from behind. Hmm. These are always tricky when the light's kind of directly behind. It's a little harder for me to see if I can work this sky a little bit more. um, really thinking here. If I put too much in the sky, it's going to distract from the statue here. So okay, I think I'll go with that. Then see what I can do with the lighting. I really want to separate it a bit. So there. Oops, why did that happen? I have to do something separate for that. Let me add a little bit of warmth here. Add another control point. I need this to be really tight. And the chroma. Okay. Try highlights. The bench, you almost didn't see the bench, so I'm trying to bring it out without making it look unnatural. Let me try a little auto masking here. Push. Use a regular brush. Push the shadows. Okay. Ultimately, I want the bench to stand out about the same. Okay. Yeah, I want the bench to be kind of a balance to what this statue is in terms of just the overall weight. I don't want the sky to distract. The landscape here. I'm debating about black and white. Let me see. No, we have to keep color. Okay. Do some controlling in the, in the, trees here. Be a little bit of warmth and contrast and push. New control point. Can't decide what to do with this ground. Okay. I'm just thinking here. I wouldn't make it that dark, but not sure. Go. Looks better with a little more light. We need some contrast in it. Hmm. Okay, I think that's it. Um, this image has a lot of potential. I'm just not working it right. I'm missing something. Let me check something. What am I missing on this image? I mean, the other thing I see here, uh, copy, is totally different crop. Like this. Hmm. It's really quite interesting. I mean, there's a lot of detail in here, but I'm just missing something. I think I'll go with this. I think this is closer to the intent of what Bert was going for. Uh, if we do a side by side here, I just basically had to lift the shadows and bring out the bench, right? And just, contrast kind of throughout. But that's the overall composition I would go for generally, given the what I was given. But I feel like there's definitely a lot of potential here with this. I just don't know how you would compose it if I was on site. I kind of like this more. I would have worked at this side of the scene a little bit more. And if I was going to go with the bench, if I was going to go with this bench and this statue, I think I would have done something a little different too in terms of the composition and angle. But I like this almost, but it needs something. I don't know, Bert, if you can go back to that scene and maybe do a couple other compositions, I think there's something here that could be really, really powerful. Not powerful, but um, something here because I'm editing it, but I'm not getting the basically I'm not getting sort of the feeling that I want out of it that I think there's potential for. But okay, we'll leave it there. Uh, but I just like this kind of like look of they're about to jump off into the landscape, and there's something here more so than with the bench. Interesting. Okay, Bert. That's all I could do there. All right, so this cathedral looks familiar. Of course, they all look alike, right? Um, Apply basic preset, and I don't know. Not gonna work. Got this person down here. Honestly, I think this will be better in black and white, despite all the colors. The micro contrast. Review. Push the highlights. Okay. To me, this scene is about this dramatic lighting. The colors are just kind of mushed. So I'd rather just go with the tones of this image. This corner is, how about that corner? I can get rid of that corner. Go with that. that one. Do a different one there. Sorry, I got all quiet again. It's another hard one. Think about this corner. Okay. I think that's what I'll go with. So maybe just a slight. If I can. Oh, I did already. How about this? No. 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 Okay. I think that's where I'll go. So let's do a quick comparison. Yeah, with these, okay, so compositionally, this is the horizon basically. So I made this level. I think what you were doing was making the verticals level here with the window, which is kind of intuitive, but then you lose the horizon. So when I do architectural, I always try to make the floor the horizon, right? And not so much the verticals. I always look for the horizontals in terms of verticals, in terms of, leveling the plane. I think this looks more natural than this. This looks like it's tilted backwards a little, even though initially I saw this line was straight and because of your angle of view. So I always try to make it level. So that's where I went with the composition. Then in terms of lighting, this was bothering me. This person down here was bothering me. This is not light. This is just a distraction. But this light was distracting. This person was distracting. So that's why I cropped in the way I did, leveled it based on the floor. And then the colors. The colors are just, this is a very subjective choice. I didn't find the mix of colors that interesting with this particular composition. There's definitely a lot of interesting colors here, but it didn't work for me for this composition. So I decided to go black and white and just eliminate the color element of it. And I think this is, to me, is a much more dramatic image. And then all I did with the columns here was bring out the tones and textures. And then, of course, making sure that there was more light here on the right side than the left side, because on this image here, they're pretty well balanced, right? The lighting. But I wanted to emphasize, the light coming in and shining over to the right as much as I can. So we look at it this way. So before and after. I think that works. All right, so I see a lot of let's see, Shri is here. Hey Shri, how are you? Good to see you. Says you upload an image for critique and also edit your pic. Okay, great. And David says, I think I try to remove that dark read at the end. Oh, that's old. Okay, so we're good. All right. So I need to take like a 1-minute break here, a little restroom break. and then I'll be back, and I'll get Shree's image, and then we'll look at the edits that you guys have did for my image, and then also edits that you did of your own image and compare them to what I did here. So while I'm taking a little break, you can upload your edits of your own image so we can compare yours and mine. And then we'll look at what you guys did with my photo. So just about a 1 or 2 minute break here. Okay, so let's see. I think, yeah, we're back. John makes a good point. The artist who created the colorful shaped glass just had a heart attack. Yeah, well, like I said, I feel like you can capture this color and stuff, but I would have done it a little differently. I didn't think it worked for this particular composition. Um, I'd have to work the scene a little bit on site and see how to capture this best. Uh, but anyway, yeah, you're right. Okay, so wow, 19 images came in. I guess that's fair. It's been a couple hours already. What time is it? Okay, I can keep going for a little while. If you guys want. All right. Let's see. Um, let me bring up the monitor. Bring me in. Okay. So, let's just do a quick look at what you guys did. So this was, let me move this over here, this over here, this over here. That's beautiful. Wow. This over here. So it looks like this was my edit, and okay, so very similar crop, but you didn't keep the branches, and you minimized the raindrops. So yeah, this is definitely very moody. I like your black and white better. I'm partial to black and white to begin with, but yeah, I like your edit better, and there's definitely more distinction here. Kind of got mixed feelings about this arch though. This arch, you can clearly see this is just artificial lighting. This one here, we know it's artificial lighting, but it looks, it's a little more questionable though, right? But yeah, good job. Good job on your edit there. That's really good. And then there was this one. This was my edit. We'll set that as the reference. And this was uh William's edit. So William went with a rectilinear image. And yeah, good job on balancing and centering everything. That looks good. Um, Pretty much the same, just rectilinear, but 16 by 9 crop, and but yeah, otherwise pretty close. So we were thinking pretty much alike, except for the fisheye effect. And then this was this my edit? I think. Let me see. Yeah, this was my edit. And then this was Gert's edit. Gert did a much better job. Mine looks like crap compared to yours, Bert. Good job. Much tighter crop. I was debating to go in tighter, but I would not have been anywhere near as nice as that one. That's an excellent job. That's a night and day. This looks so amateurish now, but I hope there was some lessons learned when I was working with this. But this is definitely much warmer, much better. Um, Boy, mine is laughable compared to yours, Bert or Gert. Good job. And then I think that was the only ones I saw that came in. Let's see, this one. This is this was my edit? No. Oh, what happened to my edit? Doesn't quite look like what I did finish with. Did I, oh, there it is. Okay. We'll set that as a reference. And we'll compare it with, oh, there's my edit. And this is Paul's edit. So set this as the reference. Okay. So almost identical crop. It's just I went a little bit brighter, right? But it was already a really well exposed image. But like I said, I like to highlight the eyes and beak, which is about all I did, then brightened it. Okay, and let's see. I think that's it. I missed somebody's image here. Andrew's. Okay. I need to edit this one. That was not intentional. But okay, so let's edit this one. All right, apply basic preset and it's just a slight tilt this way. We're trying to get I can get a line like this. Like this. So what if I just went in there a little bit more? I go right there. And let's bring the image down a little bit. Bring the highlights in a tiny bit. Flex. And just bring a little bit of light back in up here. That. Bring a little more color back in over here. It's the yellows roughly. Yellows. Lighter. And make the sidewalk a little bit darker. That. And let's see. About a little bit of clear view. A little bit back. Oops. Yep, I think that's all I would do here. Uh, so really, this image is just about getting rid of the distracting elements like this dumpster and sign and the edge of this building. We don't really need all this negative space down here either, I don't think. And then the road, of course, is just very bright. Now, it looks like it might still be snowing because it's very, very soft up here. So I've kind of lost the snowfall. And now it looks like it's kind of just wet. So from that aspect, I'm not happy that I lost that. I could probably just use a control point here and just pull the contrast back a little bit. And that will bring some of it back. But overall, yeah, I think that's all we had to do. And then bring some color in. There's no complementary color here for these yellows. So this image might actually even look okay, black and white. Could do that. So there's the color. There's the black and white. I think it works either way. Um, but yeah, it was mainly just about getting rid of all the distracting elements and just focusing on, framing the main subject with this wall and the trees and the sidewalk or path leading up to him. Okay, so Andrew said he just uploaded his version. If I can find that. I'm just curious. Download. Folder am I in here? I'm in I'm in 8Z1. Okay. So here is Andrew's edit. We'll set this as a reference. Okay, so Andrew went black and white too, but he framed everything differently. So in Andrew's image, I think, oh, this is ice. I'm gonna say this guy's got big ears, but he's wearing earmuffs. Okay. Ah, this is ice. Interesting. I was going for a snowy effect, so I was lowering the contrast, but it's ice. So it'd have been ideal to go opposite. I see what you did. Okay. Interesting. But yeah, we both cropped in a tiny bit to get rid of some of the distracting elements. You did so on the left and right, but I came in all the way, got rid of this too. Uh, so I kind of like mine better in this situation, except for the processing of the trees up here. I would change this to be more like yours because it is ice, it's not snow. I didn't zoom in quite. quite as close. But okay, not bad. All right, let's see what you guys, let's see, there was, I think, these are all the ones that came in. Let me get a couple of to Shree's. So Shree wants a critique of this image and this one. This is kind of the same. So I think what you're saying here is this is the original image, and this was your edit. I like the edit, about 90%. The only thing I would do differently is I would get more of the steps in at the bottom, just a little bit short here. So my crop, I'm not going to do a full edit of this, but I would have done a similar square crop like this and straighten. And I would have just captured more of the foreground. Something like this rather than that, right? I mean, I get there's some distracting elements here, but I don't like it being cut off right at the steps. It feels like the building's being cut off. I would have just captured in just a little bit more of the bottom here rather than cut off. So if I do it side by side, that's the only difference I would do. Then I would process in a very similar way. I might even do a black and white, but uh, yeah, it looks good. It looks good. It's just the crop is a little bit different. Okay, let's see. This is John. I'll do this one next week, John. I think I did one from you today. And then Shakabe, this is new. Okay. So this will be pretty straightforward. Uh, let's just do a basic preset. And the composition is already really good. I'll just fix maybe this corner. I don't know if I need to, I don't know if I crop in, if that's gonna, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to crop in too much. I'm gonna crop in a tiny bit to get to just to minimize, this might be another duck over here that's blurred out. Then this part here, a little distracting. I don't think I can fix that with Photolab, but we'll see. A little bit there. Oh, not getting a very good. Let's do that. If I do too much, it doesn't look right. But okay, let's. See if I can fix this a little bit more. Nope. do that. Not ideal. Photoshop would definitely fix that a lot better. But go with that. Work on the eyes a little bit. That contrast, clear view. Let's see. Get more into the browns. Okay, good. That's a tough one. That eye. That's all it needs is just a touch. I can touch this up a little bit. Oh, this part is really bugging me. I don't know if I can. Fix this at all. All right. That's a little better. And let's just give this side a little bit of a push in the shadows. Clear view and some contrast. We'll call it there. All right, so there's the before and after. But yeah, the image is generally it's well exposed, well composed. It's just this one, the butt of this duck being here is a problem. And I could spend a little more time on this. I need to up my skill set on being able to fix this kind of thing. But if you didn't know I did this, you might not notice it quite as much, right? But I think that looks pretty good. And I don't mind the highlights here in the front being a little bit strong. I could darken that a tiny bit, maybe, but it didn't bother me initially. I would just use a control line like this and just pull the highlights, maybe the blacks, something like that. Then I would get rid of this over here. Something like that. Okay, and this is also new. All right. Oh, interesting. I think a vertical is from M. Claire. Try like a guy running with his dog. How tight I can get. Like that. Thinking, let me look at a global pull push. Okay. And let's highlight these flowers. We'll push in the yellows. Those are nice. Then do a control line and minimize background. I can back these off a bit. Desaturate or cool. Saturate. Yeah. Let's pull the saturation back. Then, starting from here, and the gray Vanzini likes the fence. Okay, that's a good point. And the guy is just extra, more like an accent to the scene rather than what the scene is about, right? I get that. Let's see. Maybe we'll go back to that. Let's make a little more. To me, this patch of flowers of this bushy bushy thing is what caught my eye. Increase that. And then we need a control line. Again with like the cloudy weather. These must all be UK kind of pictures. It's always cloudy. You guys are sending me all these cloudy photos, except Shakib here, but Shakib's not in the UK, right? Maybe I can just add a little more light to this side. Pick that up. Hmm. Oh, Shakib, you're in the UK too? My mistake. Just when I see a sunny picture, I'm like, oh, that's not from the UK, because it's always cloudy over there. I'd say like 9 out of 10 Thomas Heaton videos are all cloudy. um, see how we're doing here. I see what you mean about the fence. Let me. But I'm going to go with this. So Uh, yeah, I see what you mean about this fence. I don't know if a wide crop would help though, but I can try that. Try 16 by 9. That's a lot better. I like that. I mean, I didn't have to change much of the editing because I was using all control lines. So the lighting and everything didn't really change much the way I did it. I think that works. So there's the before, there's the after. Uh, but really all I did was add contrast and punch up the colors a bit. So I do like this fence more than the vertical that I did. So that was a good suggestion. Okay, let's see. We have this one's already been edited. Uh, so I'm not sure what I would do here except straighten the horizon and see if I can push the shadows a bit, highlights, just for contrast. Maybe, yeah, the midtones. And let's use a control line for the sky up here. Give it some clear view. Contrast, slight pull on the highlights. Be a slight push in the color. Do a new control line. In the water. Can't quite get the water. A little bit warmer and venti. Couple of drops on the control line. Oops. I'm sorry, control point. My highlights, midtones, shadows, clear view. Just keep going with that. Then go back up here. A little bit straighter. All right. Not much need to be done here. It's kind of already been processed for denoising, as far as I can tell, and there may have been additional processing, but I think compositionally we're okay. I might. I mean, this one bothers me a little bit. Just experiment a little bit here. What if I just did that? Kind of there. Yeah. So yeah, the water's a little bit of a problem for me. I was thinking I could have it reflect the sky a little bit, but uh if I kept the water, then I have to keep this thing. And this thing's a little distracting right here. So I think this works better. Still needs a slight tilt to the right. So it's still a little bit off on the horizon, but that's the direction I would go there. Okay, and there's one here. I don't have a name here who sent this in, but thank you for sending that in. It's a beautiful picture. And this one here, same thing. I don't know who sent this in. But this has already been processed here because it says DxO prime XD2. So it's been processed with like Pure Raw, very likely. Because Pure Raw tends to add all these suffixes to the file name. Yeah, this compositionally is pretty good. I mean, I don't need to do any presets here. So let me just go right to very tight crop. Like that. And then let me try a control line. Let's see. With the highlights. That. Okay. A slight push. Mostly the highlights and midtones there. Okay, and then let's do something separate for, I don't know if I can do anything with this sky. See what's in here. Nothing in there. I'm going to just, nothing there. Maybe just pull it in a little bit. Pull it off a little bit, maybe. Then add a drop to dude. Come in a little tighter. Right here. Faithful dog there. And let's drop a bunch of light right in the middle there. Okay. Any sense to warm that up a little bit? No. Leave that the way it is. A little light on that side. Okay. See how we're doing here. This guy needs a little more light. Make a new control point on the jacket. More light and a little more color. Jacket's kind of blue. I like that. Let me see if I can push that a little bit. More of a blue-green. brighter. Okay, I think I'll call it there. Maybe a little bit of a softer. I can pull that in a little bit. All right, I'm going to call it there. So side by side. I think the very wide 16 by 9 or or 16 by 7 crop works for this. Because there's just nothing up here. A little bit of a landscape here, but I don't know if that's landscape or cloud, but I can't tell. So I'm just going to leave it. And then just pushing a little bit of light to the right side. I probably, it's a little bit too much. Maybe a little bit more light on the left would help. Oh, let me do it starting from there. Just maybe a third of a stop. Okay. Yeah, that helps a little. So if we do it kind of full screen, I think that looks pretty good compared to, there's the original, there's that. So the original one, had everything in there, but I think this works. This would make a nice wide shot. Okay, and then we have one here from Fabio. Okay, I think Fabio had the telephoto lens question earlier. Um, have a rock mountain. Tiny bit of light coming in from the left side. That's interesting. I don't know if I can separate this enough, though. Let's see if I can just make this a little brighter and a little warmer. Okay, yeah, that works. Oh, I didn't apply any preset. Hold on, let me apply basic preset first. All right, now let's put that line back in. And let this control point on the brightest part. Brighten that back up. Warmer. I tighten the luma up a little bit. Yeah. Brighter, warmer. Okay. Changes composition. We just need a little bit more of a crop there. I don't know if I need anything else. Bit of clear view, tiny bit of contrast, a little more pull in the blacks. And just globally make it a little warmer. Already really cold. All right, I think that's all I would do. Just a slight crop and then push the light a little brighter and warmer on the left side. And I think that makes it a little more interesting. Uh, and that's it. And then John says, I uploaded my edit of the foggy bridge. Okay. And then Great Vanzini says, um, I love that pic that shows a lifestyle that most of us rarely see these days. Yeah, that's true. And Cliff is here. Hello, Cliff. We'll catch up. Okay, good. And Gabe says, have a look at my edit of my own picture. Which one was that? That was the duck. Okay, I'll take a look. And then Gert says, I don't know what you think, but usually I do not like to have the half of the animals in the frame. If you're talking about that sheep picture, I don't know. It's all subjective. I'm not sure. I think that it works for me. I don't know. Okay. Uh, Let me just check. I'm getting some. I'm getting some. I'm not sure how you would, Gert. I'm not sure how you would frame that differently, other than. I mean, I don't know if you're thinking about something like that. That that doesn't work for me as much. But like I said, it's all subjective. Okay. Let's see. Let me download this image. I think. And then we'll get to my images here. I'm not going to edit anymore. Oh, here. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, let's make that the reference and then look at what I did. I don't see where mine is anymore. Oh, there it is. I think. Is that my, yeah, that's my edit. Okay, so yeah, you went a lot warmer, but it's pretty. Like it. And you saw the light over here just like me. That's cool. We both kind of did this. I mean, the key difference being is mainly the white balance, but I think everything else is similar. The white balance and the fogging here. I did a little bit more detail in the fog. But I like this green. I didn't see that earlier. There's some green here in the bridge that you accented that I didn't. Um, yeah, I like that. I would go back. Tough though. I'd have to make everything else a little different too. But yeah, that's a great edit, John. I like your edit. It's very different than mine. Mine is a little more muted, and cooler in temperature. But yeah, very nice. And then you brought out these flowers here a little bit more too. Very nice. All right, so you guys did a lot. Let me Let me consolidate. I don't think there's any in here. Okay, so um, my original image is, give me 1 second. I want to get my original, and then you can see what you did versus mine. All right, so this is the original. If I can get this. All right, so we'll start here. So here's the original image. And like I said, I actually shot with this with the OM3, but so you guys could edit it, I changed it to OM2. Or I'm sorry, OM1 Mark II. Okay, very tight crop here. So we're going just basically for the repeating patterns here of the individual hotel rooms. So this is a hotel in what do they call it? National Harbor. This is the Gaylord National Center or whatever they call it. Gaylord Resort. Okay, I see what you're going here. Good job. Um, and then this one here from Garrett. The Garrett Garrett kept the fisheye effect. I like that. And went with a very low key type image. And you brought out the colors of the lighting here that I missed. Because there's little splashes of light here going onto the walls. So this looks a lot like a night shot, like more towards evening. So that's cool. And then let's see. This one is from Dan. Dan went rectilinear. Interesting. I mean, clearly I didn't center this image too well. I did my best. It's hard with a fisheye, and I was hand holding. But part of the problem with converting this rectilinear is you have to correct for all of the perspective distortions, and they're very, very minor when you're looking at it in a fisheye view. But then when you go rectilinear, it becomes very obvious where the perspective distortions are. But yeah, okay. See another one here from Bert. Kind of the same thing, going rectilinear, but then exposing the perspective distortions that if I had, if I leveled everything, centered everything, the perspective distortions wouldn't be quite as obvious. But like I said, it's hard to do with a fisheye uh, without being on a tripod or something. That's cool. And good job bringing the highlights back in up here. I think that was a good choice. Bring those in. And then warmed everything up in here. Just a bit too much because the actual image, to my naked eye, these were pretty white. And you wouldn't know that unless you were there, but this now looks very tannish, which either is a creative choice or that's what you thought maybe the original color was and you tried to bring that back. But it was actually very close to this, closer to an off-white than this tan. Okay. And let's see, Lasse did a good job fixing the perspective distortions and centering it. As much as you can, considering I didn't get it right in camera. But yeah, that's a good rectilinear correction. And good correction on the distortions and good at keeping the colors pretty much original. then here's one from Paul. Paul did a good job fixing the perspective distortions. And yeah, it's a nice black and white, nice and crispy, low key. Good job. Same thing here, brought the highlights in up here, which I think helps. That's interesting. That really gives this picture a very different look. I mean, it's a very tight crop, but yeah, just a little bit off center, but other than that, it looks okay. I like it. I'll have to go back and get a shot like this. This is a really good, I mean, so we don't have to crop in 1,000%. I'll have to go back and get a shot something like this next time. Because this is not far from me. This is about 10, 15 minutes from my house. Okay, thank you, Shri. That's a good shot. Oh, Shri did this one. All right. Yeah, well, we can go together, Shri. You're local to me. And let's see, another fisheye. Good job. And everybody's going really tan on this white balance with these buildings. That's interesting. I wonder what you're basing that on. Because it's like this one is done that way, this one, and then, uh, well, two of you anyway. I'm sorry. I lost my place here. Okay. Good. And you brought some of the color back in up in the front. Okay. And this one is Paul. I like this one. Looks like a little Luminar Neo type edit though, right? With the starburst. If I had my starburst filter, I would have done the same. Or if I was using Luminar Neo. But I like this, how you just made the light right up in here. And that's tricky to do when the front here is right here. So good job separating the light between the foreground and the background. I would have made a little more glow on the rocks in the front here. But other than that, that looks really good. And then let's see. Wow, so many edits of my picture here. Okay, this one is good. This is a good crop to fix all the perspective distortions and make it rectilinear. So this is this was a lot of work. I know this image was a lot of work in terms of distortion. But yeah, I like this. And this one is a little bit more true to life colors. Okay. Where we're at. God, so many edits of my photo here. I think this is, yeah, this one is next. Okay, this is Shri again. Keeping the waterfall here instead. But the basic same composition. It's just you cut off the lamps up here. So just a little bit taller would have been just right. Okay, and I hope you guys don't mind me critiquing, my own image of your edit. Let's see. Meaning just what I would do differently. I'm not being critical. It's just how I would do it differently. But this I like too. This is a very low key, soft look to it. And going soft really helps with the perspective distortions indirectly in that you don't have to be so clinical, right? With the perspective distortions. When you go kind of with a soft focus, it it sort of takes over your eye a little bit, and you're not worried about the perspective distortions quite as much. But yeah, this is a nice low key edit with a soft focus. And let's see, that's mine. Okay, this is another crop. So everyone's and another more realistic edit, right? True to life. But everybody's struggling with the perspective distortions. And I'm not talking about the fisheye effect. I'm talking about not being centered, not being level, not being parallel with the front of the building. There's a lot of micro adjustments here that I need to make when you're using a fisheye, but because I was handheld, really hard to do, and then that's why I think everybody's kinda struggling with this, and that's okay. I struggled with it too. I don't know if I have my edit out there yet. I did edit this picture. Yeah, this is a good edit too. Really good job. This from William. So, a little bit tan on the buildings here, but overall, everything else looks really good. And this one here, oh, that's interesting, Shakib. A nice vertical. What, and it's not your editing, it's the way I took this picture. It's just this line being crooked and this not being a real semicircle kind of arch centered. Gosh, I can't believe I was that far off on this image. I really tried to get this straight. But I kind of like this composition though for this shot. It minimizes, what would otherwise be parts of the composition. They're really distractions from the geometry of this building. All the repeating patterns uh, and the light. So I think this is framed really well. I like this framing. I would have to shoot this with a different lens to get the framing right and then center it. But I could go back. I could go back and do that and get a frame like this. That would look good, I think. And that's it. Wow. This was a marathon session, 3 hours. But let's see, Great Fancy. I like that bridge edit too. I'm good with both. Yeah, I like the warm edit. And Neo strikes again and just sent another one that you can edit if you can edit that one. Okay, I'll have to do it next week. I'm exhausted. And then sorry for not including my name in it. Oh, those were yours. Okay. No problem. I generally I like to do one per person. If I start out with only a few, I can probably squeeze in two for a couple of people, but yeah, I'd like to try to stick to one per person so I can get to everybody. So not everybody's waiting forever to see their edit, so to speak. And if I had the time, I would go back and index, picture one, picture two like that. But I just don't have time to do that on the streams. But I'll make sure not to delete anything that came in after the stream, after I end this stream. But thanks everybody for sending your pictures in, sending edits of my picture, and letting me see how you edit your own picture. I was really impressed with your edits as well. Lots of good stuff there. So it's a two-way street, right? We can kind of learn from each other, whether it's in the editing, if it's in the composition. We all see things differently, and I think it's been very productive for me. I hope it's been productive for you. Thanks for coming in today, and I'll see you again next week for another photo editing session.